Yo, this is Tony Vlaco's Team TV, baby. The winner of Survivor Cagayan Season 28. This is Survivor Talk with D&D. I'll be listening to you guys from my spy shack. I hope you put on a great show like you always do.
Oh, yeah.
Peace.
Thanks, Tony. This is Dwayne.
And this is David.
And we are just two best friends talking about the show we love, Survivor. Tonight, my friends, is our 200th episode. Because 199 just wasn't enough, so we had to do 200. And so we are celebrating. We have got a round table of people that's going to be great. We're going to talk about the upcoming finale of Survivor San Juan del Sur, Blood vs. Water 2, the longest ever title of a Survivor season, I think it must be. David is even dressed as Matt the Beard tonight. David?
I'm not David. I'm Matt, see?
Oh, there you go. Nice. Good job.
I love it, man. How you guys doing? Well, just real quick, my partner in crime, Michael Snow, is having trouble joining our awesome evening on the 200th episode. So I don't know if you can tell me how to tell him to get on there. But, he's wanting to jump on ASAP.
Right. I am continuing to invite him, and he should just be able to...
He just said, I'm on the page. How do I join? I said...
No. He needs to go to Google Plus.
Okay.
And accept the invite is what he needs to do. So, everybody, we do have our guest tonight, but first, 200 fun Survivor facts. Just kidding. You've already heard him once, Matt the Beard from season 26, Caramoan. Say hello to everybody, Matt.
What's going on, everybody? How are you? Happy holidays.
That's right. Merry Christmas. Next, we have Andy Baker, the writer of The Baker's Dozen, always on True Dork Times. So everybody say hi to Andy Baker. Hello, Andy Baker.
Hey there. And by the way, you missed something with Matt. He was also the 6th place finisher in the DWSC, Bob Crowley's event up in Maine.
Oh, nice.
By the way.
That was amazing. That was amazing.
We have to introduce everybody, but how fair is it to have an ex-Survivor player playing in the DWSC? I mean, really, come on.
All of them, they were kicking tail. I mean, I don't want to ruin it for anyone who's listening right now.
Okay, all right.
When it comes out, but when you're up against the real people,
yeah,
they know what they're doing, and they're tough, man.
Yep. All right, we also have, for the first time ever on the show, but we converse on Twitter and Facebook often, but it's Jeff Pitman, the webmaster of True Dork Times himself, and writer of, well, actually, what is your article called, or do you just write for True Dork Times?
It's
just Jeff Pitman. Jeff Pitman has a blog. It's True Dork Times. Say hi to everybody, Jeff.
Hey guys, it's an honor to be here for your 200th episode, and as a fun fact, it's appropriate because I'm also 200 years old.
There you go. Jeff is 200 years old. And we do have Michael Snow. I don't know if he can hear us yet. He's putting on his headphones, turning off his lights, getting ready for a night of adventure with the D&D crew and our friends. Michael, are you there? Can you hear us, sir?
I can hear you. How are you, Dwayne?
It's Michael Snow, everybody!
What's up, fellas?
Good to have you.
Hey, Snowy.
It's so good to have you on the show, man. We remember having you on before, and it was a great show. And so thank you for coming on to celebrate our 200th episode while we talk about the upcoming finale.
What do you say, happy birthday? What do you say at an occasion like this? Happy birthday or what?
I don't know. Happy pod day? I don't know.
Happy bicentennial.
Yeah. I feel like I should introduce David because he hasn't said anything yet. Everybody, it's David Jones, my co-host. How you doing, David?
I said, hi, this is David. When you introduced your show, you said that's all I get to say. So I figured I was just going to go mute for the next hour and a half.
Well, David, just a couple fun facts before we get to the finale. Do you remember the date of our first ever show?
No.
It was January 21st, 2012.
Just read it off the paper, yes.
Well,
well done. You're more prepared than me.
Yeah, and this is what it sounded like. The following podcast was recorded live in front of no one. This is Survivor Talk with D&D. I'm Dwayne.
I'm David.
We're just two buds talking about a show we love, Survivor. So, David, why don't you tell them what we're going to be doing tonight?
Please.
Tonight we're going to be introducing you.
I don't even listen to the podcast now. I'm just don't want to listen to the first podcast we ever did.
I said, David, why don't you tell them what we're going to be talking about? And you went on a 10-minute talk about Samoa, and it was great, man. It was absolutely wonderful. That was our first episode. And who'd have ever thought we'd be talking with Jeff and Matt and Michael and Andy and all these people. It's been a fun 200 episodes. I do want to say a few thank yous, if you don't mind. Thank you to Joanne and Stacy from Survivor Fans Podcast. They were the first Survivor podcast that I listened to. I listened to them in the tribe, and then Rob started coming on as well, so I started listening to Rob. Thank Rob also. He gave me some help in the early episodes. And then, of course, Christiana and Mike from Talking About Survivor. I don't know if you ever heard them, but they're actually doing live Google Hangouts as well. So, but thanks to them. Thanks to our fans. And thanks to our Facebook group fans. We have a lot of fun, and it's a lot of fun. So are y'all ready to talk about the season?
Yeah.
All right. So let's do it. Do you like the blood versus water twist? Just jump in.
I do like blood versus water twist. I would actually prefer, though, as much as I like newbies in a season, in a blood versus water, I would kind of prefer returning players like the first blood versus water, because that would have given me a shot to possibly be back on.
Oh.
It's all about the Matt.
No, but
Matt has frozen.
Frozen. Well, I just to jump in on what he said, I do think that if we were to see Blood vs. Water again, I would guess that it would be returning players. Because it's so hard to cast a format like this that you want to have at least half the cast be people that they have some faith in, that they can play the game. And you know, it's sort of tailor-made for what the show seems to prefer when it comes to returning player seasons. When you have half and half, it's really about having returning players dominating the post-merge game. And I think you would see that in a Blood vs. Water. You would see family members sacrificed so that they could have the post-merge that they wanted.
Right, right. How about you, Jeff?
I'm with Matt. I think that it worked really well the first time when it was half returning players and their loved ones, and I think it's a lot harder to get good players. You're casting all newbies in this format.
Right. Well, one thing that I believe John said that I think CBS has kind of gotten themselves in a pickle with this Blood versus Water doing the all-new players, because number one, you get a bunch of people that don't know what they're doing, right? And then you get people. You get this in-game situation where you have two couples left, and according to John, I'm just going to go ahead and read this. Andy, can I say who told us this or not?
Yeah.
Okay, Steve Helling from People Magazine told me this. According to John, he told a lot of people this. According to John, the Alliance of Five had a pact. When it got down to the end, Baylor and Jacqueline would quit, leaving John, Natalie, Missy as the final three. He stopped short of saying it, but it's clear that production knew and was panicked and did what they could do to split the five up.
Yeah,
there you go. John, Blood versus Water causing problems.
Well, and John talked about it on his Rob has a podcast. Sorry to bring up another podcast, but on his exit interview, said that was the deal. And and it makes sense.
He also said that on Survivor Live.
Yeah. So it's pretty much out there that, you know, and it makes complete sense that when you get these newbies towards the end, you know, who wouldn't want to cut that deal? And it totally helps make sense of, you know, why John, and particularly John, is walking around saying, I have full faith in the final five. Because they had a reason to have full faith in the final five, because it was really a final three with two people who were going to fall on their sword.
Right.
Hey, so Matt's back, so let's let Matt finish his point, and then Snowy can get his point on there.
I don't even know what happened. You were asking me what I thought of Blood versus Water.
Yeah.
I like Blood versus Water when it's like the first Blood versus Water. Returning players kind of. I think this season has been very subpar. Michael and I have texted back and forth many times after episodes, and after last season, man, was so good for me that this season is just, and I'm a huge fan of Survivor, and I love Survivor no matter if it's a terrible season or not.
Right.
I don't know, dude. This last episode was finally good.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. That's my opinion.
Yeah. What do you think, Snowy?
What's the question? Whether I like Blood this season or
The twist,
Blood versus
just the
Water?
twist altogether, Blood versus Water.
Jury's still out a little bit for me. I liked that first season, and I liked the unknowns it brought with, like, you know, what the hell's going to happen if you have to play as a duo. But it really, I don't think it's really played out as a twist that much, to be honest with you. I mean, we saw it a few times the first season, but I don't see how it's really played out and affected the game that much this season, other than you just have two people voting together. And you know what? Frankly, I just get kind of annoyed by all the dramatic stuff, like, you know, when somebody does really well in a challenge and their father or their mother or something starts crying and they're like, boo-hoo, boo-hoo, oh my God, I'm so proud. Oh, I hate to send them to Exile Island. I'm just like, it's always so boring to me. I just fast forward through all that stuff.
Yeah.
See, now I'm not a fan of split seasons, like fan versus favorites. I know the first one was really good, but to me they're just too lopsided. And but I think the only way it works is Blood versus Water, because with the first Blood versus Water, not only did we get returning players, but we got at least a third cup of the new players that knew what was going on with Survivor. They watched their loved one play. They seen the whole season. They're probably almost as big of fans. So we had a good chance of getting like 33% knowledge from the new players. This season, we had a chance of getting 33% knowledge from all the players, and that was really, to me, hurt and the entertainment of the season and the fact of playing it. But with the Blood versus Water is probably the only time I would be okay with split season, returning and not returning.
So is this season better than One World?
Tough questions first, huh?
No.
No.
No. End of discussion.
I think the winner depends. The winner will play a big role in how well the season is viewed after the season's over.
Yeah, I mean, that was a big argument that I made with Cagayan, that you know, a season is remembered by its winner once you get a few seasons away from it. And if Wu had won, if he had brought Cass to the end and won, we look at that season differently. We had Kim in One World, which was great, but oddly enough, you know, that final six was a bit of a train wreck too. But at least you had her, and that's what we think of that season now. And whoever wins this game, I mean, I think the way we look at this season is totally different if Keith wins versus Natalie.
Well, or if Missy or Baylor or Jacqueline win.
Oh, God.
Then, I mean, hello, Prost might have to, you know, be lifted off the floor, and someone will have to come in and do the show for him. So who's the best winner then? Not particularly who you think is gonna win, but who makes the season, who salvages the season as much as it can be salvaged? Natalie or Keith?
Natalie.
Natalie.
Keith, like, you know, to be honest with you, he's not a very good player, but he's also fucking annoying. He's like, he just spits, and what is he? He's not even funny to me. You know? It's just like, that's why I don't like the season, because of the twist. It's just like, I just don't like to hear all those people talk. The only person I like is Natalie. Missy, I just want to like go, shut up. I wish you would have broken your leg so you would have gone away.
I agree, dude. I agree, man. I don't know what's up with Keith and his spitting, man, but that guy has no clue what's going on. He's just lucky that he's, you know, gotten where he's gotten. But I want to see Natalie win.
I think Keith's strategy has been the further he stays away from camp, the safer he is because they keep forgetting he's there.
Yeah.
And he just shows up at the end, and they just, oh, that's right, he's still here. And they just forget to vote for him.
Yeah. He's off fishing. I ain't sure what's going to happen tonight, but as long as I ain't going home, I'll be all right. It's gonna be a fishing ride.
He just needs to stop showing up to Tribal, and they'll totally forget this.
Yeah. I thought Natalie handled him. I don't know if you listened to our recap, but I really feel like Natalie handled him very well this last episode. She really had him under control, and she finally got him to trust somebody enough not to blow it at the tribal council.
Maybe. I mean, I know that Reed said in his exit interviews that he coached up Keith pretty hard to not spill anything, and then he did. And Keith, even at the beginning of tribal council, he wanted to spit his lines out before Probst even said anything.
Right. Right.
So funny.
It is, dude.
Jim
my
Probst.
I have a question for you guys. Do you think that guy how did he get on the show? Did he watch the show? Does he know the show? Or
his son got him on the show.
His son did? His son is a fan?
Yeah, well, yeah, I think Wes is a fan.
Jeff, you told this story, right?
Yeah, Wes said he applied several years ago, and he didn't hear anything, and then he heard back from them before this season, and they asked him if he had a loved one that he could compete with.
And he went into his room, and his dad goes, "What the heck are you talking about?"
Keith thought it was a 4-week fishing trip. He didn't know anything about Survivor.
Heck yeah, I can't wait to get out of this house. That wife's driving me crazy.
Yeah, dude.
That's hey.
As soon as they saw him in casting, it was no longer about Wes. It was they loved Keith. I mean, when Keith is saying things like, "When he kills 10 squirrels, I want to kill 11." Like, okay, you're on the show.
Yeah.
People
and how many times can you spit, please? Spit for us.
You'd think as much as he's done it, Natalie would have learned by now how to spit, and she just didn't quite master it.
Just once this season, I wanted Probst to pull the parchment names out at tribal council, and one of them he would just pull his hand away from it, like, yeah! He's been using it as a spittoon.
That's awesome. Well, do y'all think Natalie has a way to win it? Do you think she can win it?
She's the only one, to me, that's actually knows what the hell's really going on and playing the game at this point. I mean, it's sad. Like I said, this last season was so dang good, man. And
yeah.
You had a bunch of people that were playing the freaking game of Survivor and was entertaining to watch, and I don't know.
So Matt, are you and Michael sitting at home watching this season, going, "Why couldn't I hadn't been on this season? This is the season I should have been on."
It's definitely, you definitely think of that, because I always think how it was cool we got to play fans versus favorites because there's only been 2 of them, and so it's that's pretty cool. But at the same time, I'd way rather play an all-newbie season by far. Even if it was One World or this, I would rather play than our season.
Even if it was this format where the fans get targeted by the people that don't really know what's going on?
Yeah, I don't know. What do you think, Michael? Would you rather be on this season than ours?
Oh, geez, Matt, I wouldn't have been able to meet you.
That's true. Unless we both got on this season.
Well,
I mean, honestly, it's just, it's a dangerous road. When everybody who plays Survivor, they go like, oh, what if this, what if that? You can't pay it too much mind, because unless you're the winner, everybody has all those thoughts about what if I had had this opportunity or if I had done this.
Oh yeah.
So it's like it is what it is at this point.
Yeah, well,
I can tell you, I was playing Survivor, and I was standing with 9 other people or 8 other people, and all of a sudden the helicopter lands, and Philip and Francesca get off the helicopter. I'm gonna look at Probst and say, "You've got to be kidding! You play against these people again."
I do think, though, like someone like Matt and Snowy, that because they knew the game going in, I think they could have faced the same fate as a Jeremy and a Josh, like you said, Jeff, that people were targeted just for knowing anything. And you don't want to go into a season where there's a critical mass. It's the Confederacy of dunces I've been writing about all season long. It's like you can't fight against the tidal wave of stupidity. You can't. You're going to lose.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking about this today. It almost seems like Josh and Jeremy's biggest problem was each other, because they were the ones enlightening the non-players of the threat of each other. Because as soon as Josh went, then Jeremy went. You know, by the way, we got rid of Jeremy's target, but by the way, he was Josh's target, so we should get rid of him too. It's almost like those two should have found each other at some point. Said, you know what? It's us against the world. You know, but it seems like those two were each two's biggest problem.
But isn't that good Survivor though? I mean, all these people they've targeted all the strong people, and look who's left. So technically they've played good Survivor. So why aren't we saying why aren't we enjoying it?
I think because if they came across at all competent, we would love it. But when you have someone like Alec who's in the middle of it, you're like, oh God, they sort of accidentally stumbled into the right idea.
Yeah.
But that person's around all the time though. Like that, I don't want to name names because I'm starting to know some of these people. But it's like, that person is always around. Look at pretty much any season. You're like, there's always somebody at the end where you're just like, how did you get here?
Yeah, but there's a bunch of them now.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the problem with this season.
True.
The players started playing after the merge, and everybody that didn't know what they're doing stood outside the fire. And then they just watched them all take each other out, and now what we got left is what was standing outside the fire.
Well, plus, you do have that modicum of strategy where it's that, okay, you've got some people who don't know what they're doing, but they're in a tandem with somebody else who doesn't know what they're doing, and they latch onto another tandem that doesn't know what they're doing, and collectively they might get one idea to take out the people who do know what they're doing, but you suddenly have this massive block of votes. It's really hard to herd the cats when it's a bunch of individuals, but when you have the tandems, they get sticky and they glom onto each other and say, let's just take out the smart ones.
Yeah.
Right. You want to feel like the winner is a deserving winner, and you want to feel like that they actually did something to get themselves to the end.
Yeah.
Having said all that, Snowy said something about not enjoying the season. I still enjoy the season. Some of it, it's kind of like, man, these people don't know what they're doing. But I'm still enjoying watching them play. I just wish they knew more about the game.
Well, I enjoy this. I enjoy every season of Survivor, and it's for Michael and I. It's like, since we've played it, it's a totally different. To me, it's totally different watching it, and I still enjoy it. But going in, like watching all the pregame interviews of the cast, I kind of knew this season was going to be kind of weird from the beginning. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you're right, though. It's that whole the game kind of. I've been writing about it for a few weeks now. The game kind of takes care of itself as you get to the end. Moves have to be made to some degree. Alliances have to turn on themselves eventually, and you have some built-in drama because there can be only one, and so the middle of the game can be boring as heck, but there's just this inexorable end that's coming, and you can feel it, and there's some urgency there because, Survivor is a really well-crafted game, and no matter how many different twists you throw at it and how many bad players you shove in there, and no matter how you try to dress it up or change it around, the core game is pretty remarkable. And it's why we keep talking about it, why you've been talking about it for 200 episodes.
Yeah. I got a question that kind of
well done, Andy.
There you go. Cheap pop. It kind of comes from our chat room. Do you think Natalie is a person that's learning the game as it goes, or do you think she kind of came in with a little more strategy than we've seen, but just waited for the right moment to strike?
I don't know. Here's the thing. She probably obviously has some sort of clue about strategy. She's played The Amazing Race, so she's not completely clueless on the competitive nature of this, this game. And then, you never know the way they edit things. Hell, she could have been strategizing the entire time, and we might have never seen her real gameplay. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think she was sitting behind Jeremy to a point, and once he went, she realized she was going to have to start playing herself, at the level he was playing. But why throw yourself out there when Jeremy and Josh are fighting with swords? Right after the merge, why stick your neck out there when they're doing that?
Fighting with swords. What are you saying? I think didn't she help get that big goofy guy out? I can't even remember his name. The the other blonde guy. Didn't she help get him out? Like, that was a pretty good move.
Yeah, I think she did. I think it was her and Jeremy, or at least Jeremy was into the conversation, but I think it did stem from her for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, I think she is, as Matt said, she understands reality shows. I think she did a certain measure of homework, although, in her pregame interviews, the people she was referencing, players they're most like, they made a Rupert joke, and then they talked about people from the last 2 seasons. So clearly, she's not a longtime fan, but I think she's sharp. I think she was observing everything while other players were sort of lounging around. I think talking to Jeremy, I think she picked up the game really fast. And, then the people she was surrounded by at the end, she can't help but look like a genius by comparison. But I also think she's very, very sharp.
Agreed.
So can she win? Was that you, Jeff?
That was me.
Oh, go ahead then.
But getting back to your original question, can she get to the finals? I don't think she can unless she fights for immunity.
It's funny, Jeff. I that's where I was, but the title of my column this time is "Ignore the Edit," and I not only do I think Natalie can win, I think she's going to. And I don't think she needs to win the Final Four to do it. I think what you're going to see is a variation on that Final 5 deal that you read about, Dwayne, that's been kicking around here.
Right.
I think the deal is going to be Keith is the target. If they can't get him out, I think because the deal is to have one member of each tandem plus Natalie in the finals, I think you're going to see probably Missy fall on her sword at Final 5. And then you get to Final 4, again, the target is going to be Keith. And if they can't get him out, I think they're going to take out Jacqueline.
Anybody else?
I think Natalie's going to win. I mean, I think as long as she plays her cards right, I mean, I definitely think that the jury would be ignorant not to give her the title of Sole Survivor. I mean, come on. Let's say Natalie or Keith or Miss. I mean, based on the 5 that are there, it's a no-brainer to me. But
yeah, do you think Jacqueline's pretty ticked. Do you think she could get people to get Natalie out this time?
See, the thing is, again, sort of what I write about in the column is it's. And why I say ignore the edit. I think, honestly, Natalie's in this great position of, I think the jury knows what she's capable of, but I think that the players she's in the game with don't see her that way. I think Missy and Baylor want to take her to the end. I think Keith trusts her and will take her to the end.
Yeah.
And I think Jacqueline might be angry, but again, it's part of this Final 5 now turning, / Final 3 deal. I don't think they're going to try to gang up on Natalie then. I think they're going to sort of honor their deal. And the flip side of it is if you look at who's on the jury, and you can speak to this, Snowy, the issue of who's your jury foreperson? Who's the person who is sort of guiding the conversations at Ponderosa about what they should be paying attention to and what they should care about? And if you look at who's gone out and in what order, normally it's people closer to the end, but I don't think any of those people are particularly strong sort of leaders that way. I think the people who are going to be guiding the conversation are Jeremy and Josh. And I think those people are going to be favoring someone like Natalie, not Keith, not Missy, not Baylor, for Christ's sake. So, I mean, the more I think about it, the more it's like, okay, they hid Natalie in the edit for the longest time because if she's all over it, then we're all screaming that 20's going to win. Mm-hmm. And I'm actually kind of mad at myself for not seeing that. I think Natalie, I think they needed to play up people like Keith and give Baylor a little bit of, some confessionals here and there, so that we're not expecting, the second half of the episode Wednesday to be, she's going to steamroll it.
Okay. Well, Jeff, you don't agree with that, right? Because you said she needs to win immunity.
I think that Missy is at least smart enough to see that everybody is going to respect Natalie over either her or Baylor. And if Missy is still around at that point, I think that she will probably engineer getting rid of Natalie.
So do you think that getting rid of John will help her overcome this loyalty thing? Because I think if Jacqueline goes off when they go back to Tribal Council, then I think Missy's ready to drop Jacqueline. And let her, if Keith wins, let her be first to go and keep Baylor and Natalie. But she's so bent on loyalty, it wouldn't surprise me if she took Baylor and Natalie to the final. If that was the three that went, if they could get rid of Keith and Jacqueline, why keep Jacqueline? She was loyal to John. It seemed like she wouldn't even vote for him. I'll vote for Jacqueline.
Yeah, she didn't. I think she made sure that she did not vote for John, and she is totally playing up this whole I'm playing the loyalty, honor, the religion thing with John that was in his day after video. That's the kind of person she's trying to portray, and I think by orchestrating a blind side of Natalie, it doesn't fit what her final argument's going to be. But again, I don't think she's going to get there. But even if she did, I don't think she orchestrates anything.
All right. So let me ask you this. Earlier, Andy said the game takes care of itself, but it seems to me like about halfway through the season, production took care of the game. And for me, it all started with the Julie quit. It almost feels like production said, you know what, Julie, just go ahead and quit now. Because if you don't quit, Jeremy's going home, so you just go ahead and quit now, then you're not on the jury, you get to go with Rocker, y'all get to go have a vacation, and from that point on, the game feels completely different than the first half of the game. What do y'all think about that?
Well, I think that she didn't want to be playing the game, and I think they basically told her, hey, listen, if you're serious about quitting, now's the time to quit, because you'll get to go on the pre-jury vacation with your boyfriend, John. If you don't quit now and you get voted off next season, you're going to be sitting at Ponderosa with a bunch of people that don't like you. So I think they basically said to her, hey, listen, that's my theory.
Anybody else?
Well, after Nicaragua, Probst promised that future quitters would not be allowed on the jury. So if she had quit after that merge boot, then they'd have a logistical problem because they'd have to get the pre-jury people back from their vacation or do something to get her with them after they'd already left.
Right. Well, don't y'all think that they were also kind of trying to save Jeremy or not? I mean, do you think production gets involved like that, or at least they did in this season? Because I'm hearing Probst was pretty upset halfway through this season.
Where do you guys hear all these rumors? Like I don't go on the sites and hear them, but where do you hear them? Like on Survivor Sucks and that kind of stuff?
No, I don't. Don't ask me where I hear stuff.
Come on, like it's such like this stuff you guys are saying. I'm like, Jesus Christ, where did they get all this info?
Well, I don't want to say where I got it.
That's how we got to 200 episodes. Come on, man.
That's okay.
Well,
Sorry,
Michael.
What was the question? I always get distracted by the little things. What was the question?
Okay, so do you think production got involved in this season, second half, to help it be a better season?
Shit. I don't know. I don't know. I think there's some validity what Matt was saying about Julie, but I don't know. I don't think they want quitters. I don't think they want to send people home for medical injuries. I think they try to prevent all that. But I can't imagine that they're sitting around going like, let's get somebody to quit and keep Jeremy around. I don't know. That just seems really, it seems very kind of conspiracy theory to me.
I don't think they had to look for somebody. I think she was given indications in her confessionals of how bad it was and how alone she felt, and maybe they picked up on that. Maybe even started to ask her questions. Well, what if would you even consider quitting or just going to that way? I mean, these people have done it before, so.
It's such a waste of their money to have a quitter, though. It's such a waste of all the time and effort to bring somebody out there. It takes a long time and a lot of work to get somebody out there and have them on the show, and there's a lot of time invested in them. So I can't imagine that, it just is such a letdown when anybody quits, and it brings a kind of a downer to the season. So it's not a good thing to have an episode where there's a quitter. So I can't imagine that they're building and trying to create a quitter. If she was destined to quit, then maybe they were just kind of like, it didn't seem like when she did quit that Probst really tried to talk her out of it.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's probably how that played out, was that she had been talking about quitting for days, the weather had been horrible, rebounds a little bit, her alliance is trying to keep her in there. But I wrote about it at the time. But when you're stealing trail mix, you're quitting before you're saying you're quitting. Like, you're trying to create reasons for people to vote you out. You don't even want to be there anymore. And I think they may have pushed up her timetable, but I think she was on the precipice and probably openly talking about quitting at that point. But I mean, that's sort of a small piece of the overall. Were they trying to tweak things in the second half? And I mean, I already wrote my column about it and took plenty of heat for it. But I mean, I heard from the same sources that you guys do, and it's people. Snowy. All
what are these sources?
they're close enough that there's every reason to believe that. And you can point to, and I obviously, I wrote a whole column without, you can't name names, but you can point to what seems like pretty, sort of inferential evidence in circumstantial evidence, where you have, guys like Keith who seem totally overmatched, but suddenly when they're in confessionals, they're talking strategy, and when you have someone like John, who, there are just moments that feel like too convenient, and then you have the things that production can completely control, like, we're all sort of semi-joking about how easy it is to find hidden immunity idols. That's something they took the control totally. Do you replant the idol on Exile after John has left and goes back out there, or depending if Alec goes out there, do you not plant an idol because you don't want him to have one?
Now let's be fair. If anybody wears a tinfoil hat, it is Andy.
Yeah, I get it.
Right. I mean, let's just. He is the hat man. He actually has one. And I want to ask questions to kind of help get Andy going, because it's fun.
Go.
I knew you were baiting me there, but.
Well, Matt and Snowy, y'all played the game, so you know what production is like during your confessionals. Do you get a sense that they sometimes try to lead you on, or do you not want to talk about it?
No, I mean, people ask me all the time about, is it hard? Is it, what's it like? And, like thinking there's all these secrets and stuff. To be honest with you, I definitely think it'll be easy for them to kind of plant idols probably, but in my season, Michael, I didn't really see any shady stuff, and we didn't have squat. What pisses me off is these people getting hammers and nails and making deals about trading rice and all this stuff. It's like, come on. And even like communicating at tribal council, you see like it was like pretty much gag order, super strict, no talking before tribal, and I don't know. This season just seems like there's a lot of weird stuff happening, and they're just letting it happen. So I don't know.
You agree, Snowy?
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I try not to focus on it. I know when Andy talks about it or he writes about it or something, I'm always just like, well, maybe, because like I just try to. Okay, as a person, I usually try to be informed and know what's going on, but when it comes to that kind of stuff, I choose to believe them just because, like, otherwise I get really pissed off,
Right.
So, I mean, I think everyone has the same amount of opportunity out there. It's just it falls in some people's laps differently. I mean, when you're being spoken to out there, they ask you a lot of leading questions, but they're not, like, I don't ever remember them. In retrospect, I could look back at some of the questions I heard and be like, oh, well, why did he ask me that? Maybe he was, saying this and that, Like the day I went home, they were just kind of like, whenever I would say something really negative, they'd be like, look, man, there's still an opportunity. They were very positive to me all the time. It wasn't like they were, yeah, I don't know. I just choose to not think about it too much, to be honest with you.
Right.
Well, speaking of quitters and hard times and nails and hammers and trading for rice, I think for 2 episodes we got Matt's soggy feet, and it was pretty clear how bad the weather was and the conditions were in Karamoan. And to me, that's one thing it seems like we're not getting this season. I mean, Julie looked like she just walked out of a salon at some point.
Yeah.
She was sitting down to quit, fixing her hair and her eyes and her makeup, but I just don't see this season where they're suffering. And I'm with you, Matt. I'm not in favor of all this trading. It's Survivor. You need to get by on what you have and not what you could barter for. Because Jeff and those people aren't supposed to exist. It's the tribes competing against one another and competing against each other.
I think that's one of the reasons why people get turned off to the season pretty early, and we're watching fairly good gameplay, I think. And you're just already turned off to the people in the whole season because of all the trades and all the where'd Andy go?
Oh, I don't know.
He's hiding.
He had to go clean the floor.
Oh, did we make him pee on the floor?
Yeah.
No. I think that people get turned off to
my laptop in.
They got turned off to the rice trades and the characters and the all the nastiness towards each other, like Natalie yelling at Rocker and all that kind of stuff. And they got turned off to everybody real early. And then as the season went on, they were just like didn't care about anybody. So no matter what the gameplay was, they were like, whatever.
What I wonder, obviously everyone on this podcast is a big fan of Survivor. What does the casual Survivor fan, just the everyday person that's flipping through the channels watching, thinking about this season? I don't know what the ratings are, anything like that. Like maybe Andy knows, but just the average person, what do you think they're thinking of this season?
Well, Jeff can probably speak better than I can to the ratings, but it tends to be a pretty bulletproof show at this point. No matter whether it's a great season or a bad season, you're going to end up around 10 million viewers every week. And yeah, it'll go sometimes down to 9.5 and sometimes spike up to 10.5. But it's pretty much the core audience is there. So when you talk about casual viewers, either they're swapping those in and out, or you just have your audience, and that's who's checking in. But my sense is, at least from some of the feedback I've gotten, that the general sense is that the casuals like this season more than the diehards do. But the casuals also just, whatever you're going to give us, spoon feed it to us and it'll be fine. And whether it's gameplay, whether it's confrontation, we don't care. Just, give us 42 minutes of Survivor every week.
Yeah. Jeff, do you have numbers? Do you know what they are?
I don't know the numbers, but the last time I checked, they were pretty comparable to last season.
Okay, well then what Andy says plays out, because I know early on in our early episodes, I asked Joanne and Stacy kind of what their numbers were, and he asked me not to share what they were, but he made a comment to me. He said, people that listen to podcasts, they're not your casual watcher, right? The people that read your blogs, they're not the casual reader or the casual watcher. And so therefore, I know for us, our podcast numbers have dropped this season, and I think it's related to, hopefully, the quality of the season from the hardcore fans and not us. Because during Kagayan, our numbers went up, and then during this season, our numbers have gone down. So casual viewer, it probably doesn't matter to them. Hardcore viewer, I think it does.
Well, as you and I had texted back and forth, Dwayne, like you had told me Mike Skupin hasn't even watched the season. And Skupin's typically, he's typically like on top of every freaking thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, at least whenever I've talked to him, that's what I get at him. So
yeah.
I don't know.
Well, yeah, because Skupin's been a great friend of this show, and so I wanted to have him on the 200th episode, and he's like, man, I haven't even watched an episode. And I was like, okay, well, he goes, I wouldn't even know what to say. So.
Oh, I'm sure he could come up with something to say.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at the viewer numbers right now, and just as a point of comparison, what do you think Kagayan, which obviously is brilliant, with the ratings that their finale got? How many millions of people do you think watch?
I have no clue.
15.4.
Nope. About 9.5.
Yeah.
And just by point of comparison, our latest episode of Juan Del Sur was 9.47.
Well, there you go. Casual viewer, it's okay.
Now, is that going to change? Because I think I remember correctly in Jeff's most recent write-up, his opinion of the Mish changed after this last episode. Is that right? Did I read that right?
Yeah, I think he has if he played again, I think he could actually be a good player. He had a lot of good ideas throughout the season. Not all of them were acted on. Yep. And he'll definitely be underestimated the next time he goes out there, if he goes out there.
And he will. I think that's part of his edit.
Yeah.
Is we're going to bring him back.
Right. So Matt and Mike, are y'all like having your own conversation? And
Matt sent me this video that I wish you guys could see. It's fucking hilarious.
Well, it's family friendly, so we may not want to show it.
Sorry. I can't help myself.
Well, I got a question about hey now. I got a question about returning players. One is, who from this season would you want to see play again? And specifically for Matt and Mike, if you guys were on Fans and Favorites 3, who, if anybody from this season, would you want to see on your tribe?
Oh, good question.
Oh, brother. I don't know, man. That's it's kind of like one of those things. You could be like, well, I like to see someone like Keith or Wes or one of the long-haired dudes because they're clueless on how to play the game and it wouldn't be a threat. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, who would you? It's kind of like you'd have to dissect. Do you want to play against people that know how to play the game, or do you want to play against the majority of the people that are playing this season that don't know how to play the game, that you'd have a better chance of outwitting? You know what I mean?
Right.
Unless they all combine their stupidity together and vote you out.
That's right.
Which is good gameplay.
Yes.
Yep, that's right.
Very good point. Very good point.
You know, there's only been like 2 or 3 people on this season that I've liked. I like Jeremy and Reed, you know, because I met them and they're really nice, funny guys. I like Natalie, and you know, believe it or not, I liked watching Rocker because he was like, you know, he's always been a total douche, but he's like he was fun to watch.
Yeah.
So,
All right, so
Jeff
go
and
ahead,
Andy,
David.
do y'all want to see anybody from this season play again?
Andy.
Well, I think what we're going to end up seeing. Well, there's a difference between what I would want to see and what I think is going to end up happening.
All right.
The players that I prefer, no surprise, people like Jeremy, people like Josh, they know what they're doing. I think, and Natalie, for that matter, because she's emerged so strong. I think, though, and this is where I get into, you know, wild speculation, but as they're casting for seasons 31 and 32, I think you're probably going to see an all-returning player season in one of those 2 seasons, and I think you're probably going to, you know, there's always that worry that they're not going to be able to, they have to worry about the end of the show. They always do.
Oh, the end of the series or the end of the is that what you mean?
But the end of the series, it all depends on like how long Probst wants to sign on, and he only signs these 1-year, 2-season deals. And let's say the season's going to, or the show ends in season 34, and they go for Survivor Legends. You don't want to burn through any of those big names in season 32, and so you're going to have that second tier of people that they're willing to go with, and so you start imagining a Heroes vs. Villains 2 or something like that. So, you know, Matt and Snowy either start being really nice or being really mean, so you can get on there. But I think you could see like a guy like you know Jeremy ending up on a Heroes tribe, or I don't know, you could paint him as a villain if you wanted to. I think that's why John got this huge hero edit. I think we'll see him again on a hero tribe. I think I'm not sure. People have talked about someone like Missy, but I think Missy's up against some stiff competition in the older woman category with people Cass and Trish. So I think this cast is going to be like One World. I mean, One World, we've already seen Kat and Monica Culpepper and Colton, and you'll probably see Kim eventually. So, you know, it's just, you know, bad seasons can be fodder for returning players, oddly enough.
Huh.
I think we could see some of the pre-merge people too, like Dale and Kelly could be back, Val could be back.
Yeah. Val, really? You think so?
Maybe. She seemed a lot better in her preseason interviews than she showed on the show. She kind of got screwed by the day one exile.
Yeah, speaking of Val, who is your most disappointing player this season? From your preseason thoughts.
Well, I was on a podcast prior to this show with Brian Meager, who played at the German Warrior Challenge with us, and I had Val as the winner. And obviously that was a bad choice, but
I did too.
I thought she was going to be good, man. I liked her in her pregame interviews, which are always really hard. People judge those really hardcore, but you know, when you get cast on the show and they throw you out there and you got to go through the media day and all this stuff, and they're asking you stuff on the spot, and everything's so new as far as doing interviews with like the big time media that it's, I don't know, it's kind of weird. I don't think it's a real accurate representation. So when you see someone saying, "Oh, who would you most likely play like?" and someone says Rupert or this or that, I think it's the easy go-to kind of answer, and I don't think it necessarily you should judge someone off of those because it's just kind of bizarre.
Yeah.
I think, just to jump on that, Val is definitely the most disappointing. I think, building on what Matt was saying, I think Jeremy knows what he's doing, and I think I wrote about this at the time, that I think he was coaching her up. And I think she probably was trying to do as much homework as she could, watch as many seasons as she could, but she was more of a passive viewer than Jeremy, who was really clearly heavily invested in the show. Mm-hmm. And so she could talk about the game, but that's totally different from being out there and being suddenly immersed in it and then being called on to do stuff. I mean, that's the kind of thing, like, she understands that making threats about idols could do something, but she should have known that saying that you already had 2 idols is taking it the step too far, and that even people who don't know what they're doing out there are going to be able to see through that. Although apparently some of them didn't. But as I understand it, Jeremy's twin brother that they mentioned at the recent challenge, he was supposed to be Jeremy's partner. And through most of the casting, he was going to be the partner. And then they decided, well, you're actually too much alike, and we have twins already. And so Val got pulled in late.
Huh. Anybody else, or is everybody Val?
Yeah, that's who I picked. I had picked Val to win as well. And
I did too.
She seemed charming and smart. She was cute. She looked strong. It was a bummer when she went out. And then Rocker went out right after that. Yeah. And then you were just kind of like, then there were people like, people that just didn't have any charm to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jeff, Val for you too, or someone else?
I had high hopes for Drew preseason too.
Oh, yeah?
That didn't work out so well.
I'm going to know not to follow Jeff's lead.
I thought he was taunting everybody in his preseason interviews, but he actually was like that.
Yeah.
You thought you get a Spencer where he's different when he plays in the game than when he's a preseason. What about your go ahead.
Well, before you ask that question, because somebody mentioned Rocker, do y'all think Rocker was kind of playing a part during this season? Like, kind of like they pay John McEnroe to argue with the refs now, right? John McEnroe goes out to play tennis, and if he doesn't argue with the refs or the umps, whatever they're called, then he doesn't get paid, all right? So do you think John Rocker went out there to play his part, or do you think he's really like that? I mean, because now he's friends with everybody.
Well, I'll say something about that. I knew who Rocker was, believe it or not. I don't know basketball people, baseball, football, or anything. Like, what's the name of the guy that was on the season before me was a baseball player? Jeff, right?
Yeah.
Like, I was in casting with him, and they're like, do you recognize anybody? I'm like, nope. I had no clue who he was. I knew who the Facts of Life lady was. I was like, oh, well, I see Blair, but I don't see anybody else.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's not my point. But I lived in Atlanta when Rocker was on the team down there, and he was just such a douche, and he always was like just a big personality, and he always played that up, and everyone loved to hate him, but he was also a really good player at the time. So I expected him to come on the show and really show out and really be a kind of a complete jerk. And I was really surprised at how he didn't do that the whole time. He had his couple of moments, but he really, I think, kind of held back. And I think he went out there to play, believe it or not. That's why I kind of did enjoy him a little bit. And then when he was gone, his plus one, who didn't even want to be there, who just was like, oh, we can be on TV, she was done for. She expected him to be the one to be around and win.
Well, I don't think he expected to be around to win. Heck, he said it before the season even started.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
But
he did. I think he did try to, control his temper and his mouth, and he doesn't pull any punches, but he could have been a lot worse. Well, I expected him to be a lot worse.
Right. Anybody else?
Yeah, no, I mean,
Thoughts on that?
I think he, it's never black and white, right? I mean, I think he did do some homework. I think he got coached up a little bit to, knowing what to expect. I don't know how big a fan he was of the show, but I think he went out there intending to play. But he also, I think, knew he had a role to play. He was there to antagonize, and I think he probably felt to some degree that was a bit of a benefit in that people would see him as somebody that everyone hated and could drag to the end. And when he went through casting, I'm sure they sort of felt him out on this, and basically there was encouragement to be a firebrand, be somebody who would speak his mind. And obviously, they didn't show us everything. We wrote about it at the time, but that he said some pretty unkind things, which they promoted in the preseason trailers, and they didn't actually put them in the episodes. If
Right.
you remember, like he supposedly said to it was either Natalie or Nadia, saying, "I thought you were supposed to lose weight on Survivor."
Yeah.
And very,
I'm sorry. It is funny.
It's funny.
but it's the kind of thing like I think they backed off from showcasing him that way because that wasn't who he ultimately ended up being in the show. So.
All right, go ahead, David. You have a good question.
Well, no, I don't. I have a different question. What you think I'm going to ask?
Okay.
On the flip side of the previous question, who surprised you this season? And for me, it was Natalie, and not because of what she just did, but because I didn't think they would get as far because of the way they fought each other on Amazing Race. I thought they'd have more issues, and the fact that I think that she played alone for nearly pretty much the whole game, I think has actually been to her benefit. I think it made her less of a threat, but I also think it made her play more of a social game, which I think she's much better at than even we're seeing in the edit. She's got so many friends, and I don't think anybody's really enlightened to her strategies until this previous episode. I think, to me, she's 10 times better at this than she probably was at Amazing Race. Who do y'all think who surprised you this season from preseason?
How about you, Jeff?
Well, I was going to say Natalie too. Although I don't watch The Amazing Race, so I don't have any prior knowledge of her. But she really impressed me, definitely in the last few episodes with the way she's playing the game.
I mean, Natalie's I think the straightforward answer. So I'll just throw a different one at you, just because it's a little surprising, and that's going to be Wes.
I thought you were going to say Drew. Okay, go ahead.
No. Jeff is the one who surprised me because he liked Drew. That's the most surprising. And but no, I think Wes he just shocked me all season long with his ability and challenges. They totally downplayed it, did not showcase it at all because of his pretty inconspicuous presence and lack of overall ability. But I mean, if that vote goes differently, if that vote to take out Jeremy goes down, suddenly he's in the majority alliance at 9, and he probably gets down to the 5 pretty comfortably. And we're staring at a totally different West just because he's that guy. He's like Wu in that. Although again, West was surprisingly athletic and good in challenges. And he's likable, he's loyal, and he's not going to do anything for himself. So he surprised me, and then I just thought he'd be such a chucklehead he'd go out pre-merge. And if one or two things broke a little differently, he's getting pretty deep.
He seemed like he had an idea what was going on in Coyopa. He seemed like he was Josh's actual right-hand man, and he was in charge of getting Alec on board.
Yeah, no, clearly, if he was the one who applied several seasons ago, then he's got some functional awareness of the game. It's not deep, but I think he could have, used that and coasted pretty deep, and then tried to put himself into a position late. But I guess we'll never know. We just know Keith.
What about you, Matt? Since you picked Val to win, so who surprised you this season after she left?
Nobody.
There you go.
That, you know what? That's exactly what I would say too. I was surprised at how many dodos were out there.
You're a bunch of veterans, I swear.
Yeah.
Hey, I thought about something else. We talk about the crappy gameplay. I remember thinking last season when Tony won. What's the name of that season?
Kagayan.
Yeah, Kagayan. Those guys. I remember at the beginning of that season, I was like, "What are these people doing?" Those first couple of votes when they kept that rice dumper around and all that kind of stuff. They were really playing really bad Survivor. I think it just depends on, nobody forgive these guys. We're all still calling them dodo brains when we call everyone in Cagayan, really good players.
Well, we don't call everyone really good players.
Well, like Tasha was considered a really good player, and she's the one that kept the rice dumper around.
Well, that's true.
Yeah. No, I mean, things. I think it was Spencer Bledsoe who said that the game has such high variance. If you make a slightly different choice, like they were going to keep Jutia over him, and Cass had to flip at Tribal to decide to keep him, and obviously that rewrote the end of the season, having Spencer around. But you get those early choices where people are overthinking things and taking out people like David Sampson, and then obviously Garrett brought it on himself. But I think you're right in that. I mean, every good player, shy of Kim Spradlin, has these warts to their games, partly because of who they are, but partly because of the circumstances that they're faced with.
Yep.
So what, if you've had one this season, has there been a favorite moment, a highlight for you this season?
Hmm.
Dig deep.
Wow.
Nope. Dig deep.
Wow.
On Wednesday, it will end.
Oh, man.
Oh, come on. I know, Andy. I know you liked it when Wes brought up Probst being on 2.5 Men, and Probst just smiled like he didn't set him up for that. So, come on.
I've enjoyed. There's been a bunch of cool challenges that I think were really cool that haven't been done before to my knowledge. There are some new challenges, so I think the challenges are pretty good. But I don't know. Like I said, the whole season's to me has been subpar. I'm gonna miss it when it's over. I enjoy it every week. I'm psyched to watch Survivor, but it's just there's not been any one person that's been super entertaining or polarizing, or what I mean. It's just, I don't know. It's weird.
I agree about the challenges because there's been less challenges for the groups where one person finishes the challenge, and I hate those. I like these puzzles at the end where everybody has to work together. But I think Jeff mentioned in one of his recaps or articles about, oh, good, another challenge where they're standing still.
Yeah.
Well, here's one thing that, do you think there's any possible way that Missy gets medically evacuated next episode? I've broken my ankle 2 times and sprained my other ankle another time, and it can be excruciating pain. If she did indeed fracture her ankle, I'm wondering if she could just be like, "Dude, I'm over it. I need to get, go to a hospital." If there's any chance of that, have you guys thought of that?
Well, she might want to get out anyway so that Baylor can go to the end.
I was going to say, if they get rid of Keith in this next challenge and then it's all the women, I could see her doing that to keep Baylor in the game. I hadn't thought about that, but yeah, I could definitely see her doing that to keep Baylor in so that they won't, just to give her a chance, thinking Baylor might have a better shot than she does.
I mean, she's pretty useless out there right now.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're going to probably see, a vote me out quit from her.
Yeah.
I mean, I think she's going to realize. I think, again, if Keith wins the Final 5 immunity and gets to 4, I think Missy ends up saying, okay, we need 3 healthy bodies to be able to try to, fend him off in whatever the Final 4 challenge is going to be. And historically, that challenge ends up being really physical. something physical ending with a puzzle, and she's not going to be able to do that. And so I think she would vote quit. And give them a chance to beat Keith at 4.
I tend to agree with Jeff that I think Missy's smart enough to know that of all the people out there, Natalie has the best chance of winning. So I think she would try to get Natalie off before she did the vote me off quit. I kind of feel like Missy may target Natalie this episode.
As I write about in my column, I think that is us, and I was in that same spot thinking that way, but I think that's us imposing what we would do under those circumstances. And this is something that they sort of owned up to in the column that I wrote about my experience in Maine in the Durham Warriors Challenge. That the one thing that I understand better now, and Snowy and Matt know this infinitely more than I do, but when you're in the game, you start making these connections with people, and it's really hard to be a strategy bot, a game bot. It's really hard. And these people have been together for a month, and Missy's playing the loyalty card all along. She's been playing the faith card with John and spending time with him, and I'm sure it comes largely from a genuine place. And I don't think she may be aware that Natalie is good strategically. I don't think she's capable at this point of being that cold-blooded and ruthless. I don't think she is a strategy bot. She's not a game bot. I think she's gonna.
That would be my new but that would be my new favorite moment of the season if she pulled going up to the line of scrimmage to do a kneel down, but suddenly throwing to the tight end for a touchdown, where she tells everybody because Keith won, you know what, just go ahead and vote me out. I don't want to quit. Go ahead and vote me out. But she arranges for Jacqueline and Baylor to vote out Natalie so she doesn't play her idol, and they send her home in a blindside.
And
hello.
I think a great player. I think a great player could do it. I don't think she's that player.
Well, that's right. We're talking about Missy. You're right. Yeah.
What were you gonna say, Jeff?
No, that's a great scenario.
Yeah.
I like that.
I like that too.
I mean, Natalie's in the Final Four because she's got an idol, right? This is her last chance to play the idol.
Yep.
Will she play?
She can still play the idol.
I think so. Yeah, she's got one more she can play the idol at, so she'll be safe.
Wow.
Yeah, Natalie's in.
Wow. So she's in the Final Four. Oh, wow. So Jacqueline's going then, probably. Unless you guys think it's Keith before Jacqueline.
Well, I would get rid of Keith first.
Talking about no-brainers, so.
Yeah.
Although Natalie's still there, and she's smart enough to figure that out.
Okay, but all right, but let's look at this. If you're thinking in-game, who has a better chance of winning, even though it's slim, Jacqueline or Keith? I mean, because like I said before, Jacqueline can say, if John had listened to me, and Keith can't say anything other than I just did what everybody said.
I think the only way Jacqueline wins is if she's the only one there.
Well, I know, but still.
I'm sorry. I just don't see it. No, but John didn't listen to her. Nobody else is going to listen to her.
All right.
But one thing is it's completely idiotic that John did not play his idol at that point in the game.
There's a lot of things idiotic about what John did.
Yeah, I don't understand it.
He's naive.
Yeah, because they thought Matt had an idol, and if he had one, he'd have played it. But he didn't have one, unfortunately.
That had to kill you, Matt. You're like, man, play your stupid idol.
Dude, I know. It's crazy, man.
Oh, well. All right, guys, so we're coming up on about an hour and a half, getting close to an hour and a half. Do y'all have any final things you want to say about this season or the upcoming finale or anything like that? I mean, anybody? Maybe we haven't covered it and you wanted to talk about it tonight?
Well, what I do want to say is it's off topic of what's kind of on topic, but
that's all right.
Just because Snowy and Andy are here, in August I went to Maine and participated in the Durham Warriors Survival Challenge.
Yes.
Michael Snow, I didn't really know what I was getting into, to be honest. Michael Snow came to hang out. I'm in the middle of Bob Crowley's amazing property playing this Survivor-like game. and I got to play it with Andy, and it was as close to playing real Survivor as you can get without the $1 million at stake and the TV and all this stuff. But it was an amazing experience. And for anyone listening to this podcast that is a true fan of Survivor, that the reality of it is a very few select people are lucky enough to get cast to play Survivor. So even though I talk about being bummed I got voted out and I wish I would have been on an all-newbie season, this, that, or the other, I'm very fortunate and thankful that I got to play Survivor. The majority of people out there listening probably won't ever get the chance to play it. And I would highly, highly suggest you guys applying, going online. I don't know, Andy, if you have any kind of information, or maybe you guys can put it up there, but for 2015, I know Andy's going to be involved in it. It is 100% legit and badass. And when I made the merge at Survival, Durham Warriors Challenge, I was psyched. I met great friends for life, and when I played the game, I was not, Bob asked me to do it, and but I played it as if I was playing real Survivor. I wasn't just half-assing it because it was a charity event.
Right.
I'm like, I'm here to do it. So it was unbelievable. So anyone out there listening, you should check it out for sure.
Hey, Snowy, was it fun to watch? Because you were there to watch, right?
Yeah, I didn't get to stay the whole time. It was really fun to watch. It was Bob and his family and all the gang up there, all those Mainers. They did a great job of putting this together. It was really super fun. They have like a whole area for people to watch and cheer them on. And there were some people that sat there and watched the whole thing all weekend long. It was really super fun.
That's really cool. Now, David, you've applied for this. Am I correct?
I have applied, yes.
David has applied to be on the Durham Warriors Survival Challenge.
That's correct. Yeah, and as Matt said, I played last summer, and it was more than I could have asked for. And I enjoyed it so much, and sort of broke down the game so much afterwards with the people who organized it, Bob and John Vitea and the rest of the team. So I'm helping design it for next year. And given what our preliminary discussions have been, it's going to be pretty epic. And so, yeah, anyone who's listening, you should apply. Come watch if you're at all local. There's plenty of space.
Right.
It's as Matt said.
Is Jeff going to play so we can do a pregame alliance? Is Jeff going to play so we can do a pregame alliance?
Well, I tell you what, if David gets on, then I've already talked to my wife, and I'm taking time off, and I'm going to go up there and be there the whole weekend and watch it all and root for my buddy. So
awesome.
So
come on, Jeff. You need to do it, Jeff. Yeah. Come on.
The more people we can have involved, that if we have 2 or 3 people in the season who know what they're doing, then we're better than San Juan del Sur.
Yes.
But and Snowy can speak to this. That last year we turned it into the real things. You know this too, Matt. Like we were, it was legit. We were blindsiding people, and it's pretty amazing.
So Jeff and I would be Josh and Jeremy. We'd be going after each other right before the merge.
Yeah.
Probably.
Andy wrote a really good. Was it a baker's dozen that you wrote about it in?
It's posted in the list of columns for this season in the Baker's Dozen. It wasn't really a dozen. It was
right.
But
that's where you posted it. So go to True Dork Times and go to the Andy Baker part and go down and read it. He really great article about his time out there and the one true
person. One true person.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's
a survivor standby. Yeah, we've seen it before. You'll see it again. You need that one person you can trust.
Hashtag one true person. There you go.
Hashtag one true person. Anybody else got something they want to plug or talk about before we let you all go?
I just want to say one last thing about this season. I've been joking around and dumping on. I have respect for anybody who goes out there and plays, and I have watched the entire season. I am enjoying it. It's just fun to poo-poo as well. You know what I mean?
Sure.
It's half the fun. I mean, Matt and I are on one of the most hated, if not the most hated seasons, which actually it's great because people talk about how much they hate it all the time, so they talk about it more than any other season.
It's funny that you mentioned being nice and being a former player because Riceburner feels the same way. She actually complimented us that we were nice to the players no matter how they're playing. So because we had her on this season. And she had a lot of nice things, but she's another one of those that has a lot of respect for people to go out there and stay as long as they do. She goes, it's a lot of hard work, and you need to respect that what they're doing.
I just tool on a lot of people because they're not the type of people that I would hang out with, and I just would,
It's pretty safe. You won't run into them.
I know, but yeah, I'm just kind of a bastard in real life, so.
Yeah. On our 200th episode, I get to put an explicit tag thanks to Snowy.
Yes.
I'm so excited.
That made me just curse like crazy now?
No. Hey, if that's the case, then let's make it work.
No.
Damn.
No, stop. No, I'll in all honesty, I'll probably just listen to it. I think you only dropped one F-bomb, if I remember, and it was early, so I should be able to find that and kind of, drop it out. But it's all good. It's been fun. Thank you guys so much. I know y'all are busy. You got a lot of stuff to do, and David and I are just two guys that you've never met in person, and you're willing to come on our show and help us celebrate 200 episodes and talk about this season. And, we just really appreciate it. Thanks for thinking enough of us to come on. Of course, Snowy, I know it helped that I had Matt on, but thanks for coming on.
Here's the thing, man. For me, as a huge fan of Survivor, playing the game, being out there in the Philippines with Michael was absolutely amazing, and then watching the season every week at a viewing party with all these fans of Survivor, and the whole experience of watching it play out was another unbelievable experience. And then doing charity events and going on podcasts like this one is cool. As a fan, I get excited about being part of it, man. And it's an honor that you ask someone like Snowy or I to come on here for your 200th episode. And when Bob asked me to do the Durham Warriors Challenge deal, man, it was like, wow, they invited 3 ex-survivors this year, and they invited me, and I jumped at the opportunity. So I really enjoy doing things like this. I know a lot of people that play the game of Survivor are not fans. They don't have time to, whatever. They blow it off. But I truly enjoy doing this kind of thing and being involved in this amazing community of Survivor. So thank you very much for asking us to be on.
Absolutely. Snowy thought so much of what you said he left.
Must have got too much.
I think he got disconnected.
He probably did. And Snowy, man, is he's a great player. And back real quick when you were talking about production and if they, play a role in anything, it is funny. I remember one time where Michael and I were like this in the game, and it was so fun strategizing and playing the game with Michael, which I wish they would have shown more of that on TV instead of the Shamar drama and all the stupid Philip Shepard stuff. But sometimes I remember one time in one of my confessionals, they were like, you're really tight with Michael, but they made some sort of comment that started making me paranoid. And I remember saying in my confessional, look, Michael and I are tight, and Michael's a very smart player, and there probably is going to come a time where I may have to vote his ass out. You know what I mean? It's like, and as much as I love Michael and whatever, it's like when I was there, I was playing the game to win, and you know, you got to do what you got to do, and you don't see a lot of that kind of in this season, man. Like a lot of really hardcore players that are really there to win, and I think that's one of the things that's really missing this season. But as Michael said, it is, you know, we're dissecting it. At the end of the day, Survivor is the greatest game ever created, and it's entertaining to watch no matter what.
Absolutely.
And I'm excited to watch the finale, man, and see how it plays out.
Yeah.
Are you going to it, or are you just going to watch it?
No, I'm just going to watch it. I wish I was going. I saw Big Mike and a couple other dudes I know are already out there for the finale, but yeah, I won't be out there. I'll be watching it in my house. So.
How about you, Jeff? Are you going?
Unless I'm going on the stage, I'm not going.
All right. Anybody else got anything to say before we sign off? Jeff, you got anything?
I just want to say thanks for inviting me too. I'm just some guy with a website, and it's great to talk about Survivor with you guys.
Well, you got one heck of a website. I mean, my goodness. Seriously, y'all, and I'm not just saying this because it came on the show. You've got to go check out True Dork Times. There's so much information on there that I got to make sure I don't get on it while I'm at work, or I don't get off of it. So
that's the goal.
You really got to go over there. I mean, I don't know what you do for a living, but you may not do it as much as you should. All right, Andy, you got anything you want to say before we head on out?
Yeah, well, two things. One, assuming that Jeff isn't totally burnt out, the new Baker's Dozen will be hitting the airwaves a little bit later on tonight, maybe.
Yep.
Well.
But also, it's always an honor and pleasure, gentlemen. Congratulations on 200 episodes. Want 200 more, and you'll let me ruin a couple of them.
Oh, we always love having you.
The kitchen's always open.
Yeah. And Jeff, next time we have you on, we won't have Andy on, and you'll talk more.
All right.
Yeah.
Deal.
Sorry.
Oh, Andy, hey, man. If I can't pick on you, then, what's the fun, right?
Right.
Y'all are awesome. Thank y'all so much. So let me just go ahead and say a few things. Do y'all need to? We've already promoted Andy's Baker's Dozen, which is on True Dork Times. We've already promoted Jeff's website. Matt, you want to promote your band or anything that you're doing? A website you want people to go to?
If people are interested at all, I mean, I'm in a band called Moonbow. So you can look us up on Facebook. It's just facebook.com/MoonbowRocks, or just follow me on all my wild adventures on Instagram, which is at the Matt Bischoff. And thank you for all the fans out there, man, and anyone that's psyched on Survivor. People ask me how I got on. I applied in 2003, and no one ever got a hold of me, and I was like, man, too many people apply to be on this show, so I didn't apply ever again. And then in 2011, I told my wife I'm going to go make a video, and I'm getting on the show, and I'm very lucky that it happened. So I just want to tell anyone out there listening that might think, I'm not going to even bother applying because they won't pick me. Follow your dreams. Go to CBS.com and go to the casting page and make a video, because as much people as they actually recruit, I was a applicant that made a video and sent it in, and I got on the show. So there is a chance for all you fans out there. And the thing is they sometimes recruit because I don't think they can find. Well, maybe they claim they can't find enough good applicants out there, but I know there's people sitting on the couch and maybe listening to this podcast, so go apply, and hopefully you'll get on and be on Survivor Talk with D&D 400th episode.
There you go. That's right.
Something to shoot for.
Get on the show so you could be on D&D.
Yes.
I like that. All right, Thursday night, 10 o'clock Eastern Time. David and I will be on talking the finale. Who knows? We might have somebody on with us. That'd be kind of fun. 1 week from tonight, Sunday, December 21st, we'll do our feedback show. And you can follow me on Twitter at Survivor_Talk. Join our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/Survivor Talk. And, of course, when you shop Amazon, use our link. Nobody else's, just ours. All right? stwdd.com/Amazon. All right, everybody, that is all I've got. How about you, David?
I'm good.
All right, see you, everybody.
See ya.
Good night.
Bye.
See you guys.